Mr. Kenley Edwards, and also Mr. Lyndon Bob. Is it? Yes. All right, so welcome. I extend a very special welcome to all of you. And of course, a very special welcome is extended to all of you, dear participants. We've been seeing each other for the past several weeks. I guess you all are tired of seeing me now. We've been seeing each other for the past several weeks, for the past 5 weeks, online. And this week we started seeing each other in person. So it's great having you all here attending the closing ceremony of the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project Agri-business Training Program and the other training program that you started this week with the implementing agency being MNIB. We have the final day of that workshop next week on Monday coming, and you'll have a separate closing ceremony for that one. Yes, so back to this closing ceremony. The Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project Agribusiness Training Program, funded by the Government of Grenada with technical support from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, was successfully implemented from 15th November 2021 to 10th December 2021. 16 days of intense training spread over a 4-week period, 3 hours per day. Well, intended 3 hours per day. We went over that, yeah? In fact, the final day we went for like 4.5 hours, about that, on the final day. And the training program targeted over 30 pre-selected land bank applicants for the Diamond Estate and Grand Bacolet Estate pilot sites, as well as 2 extension officers or assistants. The agribusiness training program was held virtually via Zoom and was implemented by the Grenada Investment Development Corporation, GIDC, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry. The participants received training in 11 different courses: effective record keeping, budgeting, costing and pricing, production planning, marketing, risk management and planning, food safety and handling, effective time management, business plan writing, grant proposal writing, and value chain development. A total of 47 people were registered for the agribusiness training program. This includes 45 individual and group pre-selected land bank applicants and 2 extension officers / assistants. 42 of those registered attended at least 1 training session, 36 of which attended at least 50% of the training sessions. And those 36 who attended at least 50% of the training sessions are going to be awarded certificates at this afternoon's closing ceremony. 28 participants will be awarded a certificate of completion for attending 13 to 16 of the 16 training sessions held. And 8 participants will be awarded a certificate of participation for attending 8 to 12 of the 16 training sessions held. Separately, we had 5 other pre-selected land bank applicants participating in batch 9 of the Enterprise Business Development Training under the Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program, CIEP. And of course, the next steps for you, dear pre-selected land bank applicants, those for the Grand Bacolet Estate pilot site, the next step for you is submission of the final version of your business plan for evaluation by the Land Bank Selection Committee by the end of January 2022. And for the pre-selected land bank applicants for Diamond Estate pilot site, the next step for you is submission of the final version of your business plan by around the end of February 2022. So these are the next steps for you, dear pre-selected land bank applicants. So once again, I extend a very special welcome to each and every one of you to the closing ceremony of the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project Agribusiness Training Program. I now invite the prominent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, Mr. Elvis Morin, to deliver the opening remarks. P.S. Morin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noel. Honorable Peter David, Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Forestry. Mr. Trevor Thompson, Chief Agricultural Officer. Ms. Keisha Mitchell, Senior Vice President, Business Development, GIDC. Let me also recognize Senator Roderick Sinclair, who just joined us. The representative from the FAO, who is joining us virtually, online. Mr. Daniel Lewis, our former Chief Agricultural Officer, and also serving in this capacity as the National Consultant to the Land Bank. Participants, personnel from the Ministry of Agriculture, members of the media. Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
I think we deserve better than that. Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
I know it's Friday, but we would understand. I am happy to be part of this exercise, and of course to deliver some brief opening remarks. I first want to say congratulations. It's an honor for all of you who endure during this training exercise. We also want to appreciate the GIDC for partnering with us, as well as the FAO, on this important initiative. I am excited, and I'll tell you why. Upon joining the Ministry of Agriculture, I always advocate for persons to take agriculture as a business. And all my colleagues in the Ministry of Agriculture will remember me saying that constantly. And because of that, sometimes I think we lost tremendous opportunities in this sector because we are not taking this. We are too casual about agriculture. There are many, of course, I would say wealth to be garnered from agriculture. And if it's one thing, all of us will recall, last year, March, when the COVID-19 pandemic, was with us. If it's for the first time, we appreciate the need for us to feed ourselves. So we have to begin to look as to how we're going to go forward, how we're going to do this, how we find the right partnerships going forward. We do understand, of course, the challenges faced in the agriculture sector. And I sure my minister would spare no thought to raise the issue of accessing financing. We all know it's very difficult to attract finances for agriculture activities. And you have to understand why too, because from a business point of view, we all understand that agriculture is a risky business. And so sometimes you find not many persons want to disperse a lot of monies, towards that kind of investment. It takes me to the other point. Can we be able to attract agricultural risk insurance? Because if we can do this, it means, therefore, we can find viable partnership with the financial institutions. So you have to understand, because persons don't want to just have all the risks come their way. But I believe your willingness to endure this training must be commended. Because it means, therefore, that many of you have taken a step in the right direction. You have taken that step which will help to fashion you to pursue your agricultural activities differently. And I want to challenge you and commend you for that and say to continue in this regard. There's a ready-made market already for agricultural produce, and whether we want to go into an export market, or whether we want to do agro-processing, agribusiness, there are opportunities. It's us embracing it and taking this very seriously that we can be able to cushion whatever economic shocks that come our way when we enter in that kind of arrangement. So I want to say to you that the Ministry of Agriculture is committed and will continue to work with you to work with institutions like the GIDC, Marketing Board, with FAO, to make sure that we create that enabling environment so that you can strive. Now, you have to return by showing us that you are serious and showing yourselves that you are serious. So you are willing to go through. And at the end of the day, we'll be better for it. We can feed ourselves healthier foods, because it's important. We all know the important, even just the mere fact of having the produce fresh, as opposed to having anything that we consume making a very lengthy journey before it gets to our plate. It's something that we need to look at. The Land Bank project is something that we hope would serve as a prototype going forward. We are hoping that we can have private citizens who have a lot of lands to the disposal can come into that arrangement, and we can put into serious production. So we encourage persons who have the repository of lands to put in this arrangement so we can begin to go forward. So I want to take this opportunity also, in the season of Christmas, to wish you all the best. But to hasten to add that, remember, the Christmas is not per usual. And the reason for this is because we are still in a pandemic. So we want to make sure we share, we give, we share, we touch base with our loved ones, but we ought to be very responsible as we go about doing this. So I wish you well, and I trust that we can all be safe. We can enter into 2022, all of us being alive and our loved ones being alive, as we endure the difficulties of COVID. But we know one thing is that one good thing out of COVID is agriculture has found a place to blossom. Thank you very much. And of course, let us continue to work together into 2022.
Thanks very much, P.S. Maureen. I would like to recognize as well the presence of the Agriculture and Fisheries representative in the Senate, Senator the Honorable Roderick St. Clair, and he was also a facilitator in the Agri-business training program. I also wish to recognize the Land Bank Administrative Assistant, Mrs. Rhonda Solomon-Cador, and other colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry. And I also want to take the time off to recognize members of the FAO team, the regional team for Latin America and the Caribbean, Dr. Rolf Hackbart, Ms. Mariela Ramirez Goyo, and Ms. Vermaran Extavor. They're joining us virtually, so they're following us live. And Dr. Rolf Hackbart will be addressing you in a while. But at this time, I now invite the Senior Vice President responsible for business development at the Grenada Investment Development Corporation, Ms. Keisha Mitchell, to address us. Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noel. Honorable Peter David, Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, Dr. Ralph Hackbart of the FAO and other representatives of the FAO, Mr. Elvis Moraine, Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, Mr. Trevor Thompson, Acting Chief Agricultural Officer, Mr. Joseph Noel, Project Coordinator of the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project, Mr. Daniel Lewis, Consultant, of course, our Senator and Facilitator, Mr. Roderick St. Clair, to all our facilitators, other facilitators, to beneficiaries, and of course to our Business Development Assistant here with me from the GIDC, Ms. Shanika Gurley, to the media, good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the Grenada Investment Development Corporation to deliver some remarks. For the past 14 years, GIDC actually took on the initiative of building the capacity of individuals throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, given the fact that we recognize that entrepreneurship is not taught in schools. You really don't know how to start a business, how to grow, how to expand a business. No one teaches that. And so GIDC has that mandate to inculcate in people as well as students within secondary school that spirit of entrepreneurship, the knowledge that can be gained from experienced facilitators like Mr. Sinclair, Mr. Bob, Mr. Charles, and Mr. Edwards, who are here with us, to be able to pass that on to individuals and to you who are farmers, and to some of you who are not yet farmers but are interested in getting into the agricultural sector, to pass that on to you so that you're able to operate your business effectively. In fact, I wish to add that the 2019-2020 approved small business strategy and policy highlighted the access to land as an issue for small business owners. The document further highlighted that the intervention that is required to address that issue is the provision of lands and institutional support. It further highlighted that any reform measures to be undertaken by the Ministry of Agriculture in support of this venture would also support the development and enhancement of the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprise sector. But to do this, however, we recognize that collaboration is key. And it is for that reason that the GIDC, of course, given its mandate of enhancing entrepreneurship and fostering that spirit of entrepreneurship throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, it is in that vein that we actually collaborated with the Ministry of Agriculture and was very pleased to have done so to build your technical capacity so that once you access those lands, it's not just about accessing the lands, but it's also about being able to start and operate your business effectively. And that is why, as Mr. Noel would have highlighted, you were trained in the areas that you were trained in. And those areas were discussed extensively. I remember Mr. Lewis and myself and Mr. Noel having engagements, and of course, Ms. Roofing, our trading specialist, who is not here with us today, but having extensive discussions on the training that you would have participated in. And Mr. Noel would have highlighted those areas. Now, for us, those trainings are very important. And you have to recognize that it is not just about gaining the knowledge. Gaining the knowledge is fine. But using the knowledge, applying the knowledge is what is important for us. That is when we would determine that the training would have been successful. So I would just want to touch a little bit on some of the skills that you would have learned, just to remind you. Record keeping. And record keeping, as simple as it may sound, is one of the issues that small business owners face, in that of keeping records. And sometimes it is very difficult and very challenging, because we say to people, you want to access financing, you have to be able to keep records and show that you have records. You want to access grant financing or any other type of support from different donor agencies throughout the region, you have to be able to show that you have records. But in addition to that, you have to be able to interpret those records and use the information that you would have garnered from your interpretation of those records to make sound business decisions. And so we believe that from the record-keeping training, that you should now be in a better position to be able to do just that. So whether or not you have taken the decision to keep manual records, and that's fine as well. Of course, we promote electronic record keeping, but either one works. The important thing is that you start keeping records. And of course, the training went into budgeting and the importance of budgeting, why you should keep budgets, and how you manage your budgets. Additionally, costing and pricing products. And we have, many MSMEs who have been in business for many years and still have not been able to effectively cost and price their products. That is important. And that is why you were provided with the techniques and the tools of how to effectively cost and price your products and how to use different pricing strategies as you operate your business. The training also went into value chain development, and that is very important. I remember some years ago when we actually worked on the development of the export strategy, that was one of the areas that was actually discussed and explored for small business owners. And so I know you would have gone through the different steps of value chain, how to actually develop a value chain, but how to note the improvements, the gaps, the bottlenecks that would sometime ensue when you are implementing a value chain. And further, you would have gone into the different strategies that you can use when developing and using that value chain model. Of course, the issue of trust and negotiations and networking and governance and the linkage of that to value chain would have also been discussed. Important for us at the GIDC is grant proposal writing. Mr. Maureen would have touched a bit on the fact that it's difficult to find financing for agriculture type operations. We believe, based on what we have seen and our engagements with many donor agencies, that there is financing out there for farmers, for fisherfolk, agribusiness, if you're involved in agro-processing. However, as he rightfully said, you have to start operating as a business. This is not a hustle. It's not something that you do on the side. You have to start inculcating the practices that you would have learned throughout the training to be able to operate your farming enterprise effectively. That is what would allow you and position you to actually access those grant financing that is currently out there. So grant proposal writing was important for us, and you would have gone through the different ways in which you can write a proposal. It can be very technical at times, but I know the facilitator actually did a great job in providing you with how you can actually go about to write your grant proposal. Marketing and marketing fresh produce is sometimes quite different to the common techniques of marketing that we use. That does not mean to say, however, that you cannot use those common techniques and tweak it in such a way to build your customer base. And I know that the training would have touched a lot on that particular area. Time management. Every one of us, even in our individual lives, have to learn to manage time. Oftentimes we would normally say, I really don't have time. Is it that we don't have time, or is it that we are not managing our time effectively? And so in this training, we would have gone through the different ways in which you can manage your time. We often say to people at the GIDC, it's not so much about working harder, it's about working smart. Because you can work hard and not smart and be very ineffective in what it is that you do. So the training touched on all of that. Of course, as farmers, as potential farmers, production planning is quite important. You have to be able to plan what it is that you're going to do. And the training would have touched a lot on how you can do that and how to develop a production plan. Business plan development. And business plan development is actually a service that we provide at the GIDC. But sometimes, you know, it's very important that we train people. I often say that people normally come to GIDC and say, the bank sent me to get a business plan. I say, the bank sent you to get a business plan. Well, I don't know that I could just take a document and give it to you. You know, it has to be tailored. And so for us, it was very important that you understand what a business plan is about, but how do you go about planning for your farming operations? So whether you want to get into farming, strictly farming, or whether agribusiness or agro-processing, it is important that you plan how you are going to go about starting that business, how you are going to go about operating that business, who you are going to market to, what you are going to produce, and whether or not the market requires what you are going to produce. And that is very important. It's not just about producing certain types of products or crops because we believe or we think that people will want to buy it. The market forces determine, in other words, John and Mary and Susan down the road determines what it is that you produce as farmers. Food is important, yes, but in a lot of cases, not every time the market would actually buy from you what you think that they need. So the business plan aspect of it was very important for us, and we wanted you to learn about planning your business, operating your business. And that was mainly the main areas that the training touched on. We are quite pleased that you were able to go through those grueling hours. We hope it was not torture, but I'm sure you're quite happy that you were able to learn. But as I said earlier, learning is good. It's important. We learn every day, but it's not sufficient. You gain the knowledge, you put it in, yes, that's fine, but you have to be able to use it. So as farmers, as you prepare your business plans to go forward to the Land Bank Committee, it is now your responsibility to inculcate and to use, not so much to inculcate, but to use what you have learned throughout the training. You still have an opportunity to ask questions. Most of the facilitators live in Grenada, and I'm sure they would not turn you away if you have some questions for them when you do start your farming enterprise. So the GIDC is quite pleased that we were able to partner with the Ministry of Agriculture to deliver this agribusiness training program. We thank all of our facilitators, our training specialists, of course, Ms. Natalie Ruffin, with support from Ms. Gurley, who worked tirelessly with Mr. Noel to ensure, and I tell you, Mr. Noel, do you ever take a break? We were getting mails from you at 2 and 3 in the morning. But that is to tell you the dedication that went into this. So if the Ministry of Agriculture and the GIDC could demonstrate such commitment, it is now time for you to demonstrate courage to do what you set out to do. We have given you a plan. We have provided you with a roadmap. You now need to have the courage to use the land, for those of you who would be selected, to use the land to start and operate your farming enterprise efficiently. I wish you the best in your future endeavors. And we always say at the GIDC, of course, if you need any additional support and advice, please feel free to contact us. You know where we are located at the Frequente Industrial Park. And of course, we look forward to additional collaboration and additional initiatives with the Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks very much, Ms. Mitchell, for giving us such a comprehensive review of all the training sessions. As you were speaking, I was picturing all the facilitators in my mind and hearing their voices, and I'm sure it was the same experience with the participants sitting there. So thanks very much for taking us through all the 11 different courses that the participants were trained in over that 4-week period. At this time, I now invite Dr. Rolf Hackbart, who is joining us virtually. Dr. Rolf Hackbart is the Senior Policy Officer, Land Tenure Division at the FAO. He will deliver remarks to us on behalf of the FAO, which has provided immense support for this successful agribusiness training program that we've just finished implementing. So Dr. Rolf Hackbart, you're now invited to address us.
Thank you very much. Did you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes. And sorry for my bad English, but I want to try to speak in English in a good way. First of all, under the name of Mr. Elvis Morin, Permanent Secretary, I want to greet all the government authorities. And I also want to greet all my FAO colleagues, Renata Clark as a sub-regional representative, all our consultants, all our staff, my colleague Mariela, who is working with me in the regional office to implement this pilot. And I am very happy to take some words at this event. It is a great pleasure for me to say a few words. This activity allows all of us to see the land banks project in a very clear and tangible way. And we are extremely happy to see the fruits of this very long journey. In the late 2010s, the government of Grenada decided to explore alternatives to improve intersectoral coordination and modernize land administration systems in order to enhance agriculture and development. In this endeavor, Grenada sought FAO support to developing national land banks, and with this, boosting the market for leasing state and private land, reducing transactional costs, and providing greater security and legal certainty of tenure, and greater trust between parties. The implementation of the land banks has included first an institutional design that allows for intersectoral articulation between land administration, agricultural services, rural extension services, and planning agencies. Second, model lease contracts and bank procedures manuals were designed, together with a campaign to raise awareness and transparency of the process. The land bank project is also an initiative that acts as a foundation for many other projects related to agricultural development. Improving access to land is essential to achieve the strategic development goals. For instance, the inclusion of women and youth is the core of this project, having been proved that one of the barriers to the inclusion of young people as protagonists of sustainable rural development is their limited access to land tenure and natural resources. One of the main innovations of this project, in my opinion, is that the land bank information system and the software designed especially for land bank administration, but with utilities that transcend it broadly and that represent a significant advance in the modernization of land administration systems for Grenada and can also be replicable to other Caribbean nations. In this regards, this project is a pioneer initiative, not only in Grenada or the Caribbean, but in the entire region. It has raised interests from many other countries, and they are looking at this experience with hope to find innovative solutions. And most important, this experience has shown us that it is key to advance in political agreements. to improve the modernization and of the administration systems, it is crucial to have leaders that champion change initiatives. But it is also important being able to generate consensus that will allow sustaining these processes in the medium and long term. We are very grateful indeed for having had the opportunity to collaborate with the government of Grenada in designing the land banks project since its origins. Many people have been involved, but without the will and determination of the government, this would have not been possible. In my modest opinion, we are facing a lot of challenges in our region. I am not talking about Grenada specifically. I am talking about the Caribbean, the Latin American, maybe about the world. Poverty, hunger, inequality, and we have in our region a lot of natural resources. One of my questions as FAO is, what is the future for our women, for our youth? What kind of society do we want? What kind of business? What kind of nutrition? What kind of environment? What kind of future do we need to build? And this example of Grenada helps us a lot, not only in Grenada, but not only in the Caribbean, not only in Latin America, but for all the 193 countries where FAO works. All the people are asking us where the land banks project is working. Grenada. Yes, we know it's a pilot project, but it can boast a lot of experiences. That's my main comment. And finally, congratulations to all the applicants for finalizing this training. Thank you very much and have a good, healthy weekend and end of year. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thanks very much, Dr. Rolf Hagbart, for your remarks on behalf of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO. Thanks very much for reminding us about the key objectives of the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank project. And as Dr. Hagbart mentioned, other countries are looking at us, looking at what's happening with the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank project in Grenada. So dear participants, a lot of responsibility lies in your hands. We have to make it work. We have to make this thing work. So we expect you to give it your all, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry will go all out, will do all that it possibly can to provide you with the necessary hand-holding support to make sure that what happens at the 2 pilot sites are very successful. At this time, I now invite some of the participants of the Agri-business training program to reflect on the 4 weeks of virtual training and to share their experiences with us, their impressions, and how this agribusiness training program will benefit them, will be beneficial for them in their future endeavors. So first, I call on Shad Noel and Alana George to speak to us for about 2 minutes, not more than that. So please keep it short, dear participants. All right? So I now invite Shad Noel and Alana George.
As I stand here today and stretch my mind a few weeks, I am compelled to express heartfelt gratitude
for how my life has been impacted positively.
When I first thought about agriculture, it was land preparation, planting, and harvesting. The pilot agricultural land bank project Agri-business training program, however, took me on a journey through the industry and have reconstructed my ideas. Now I am ready to go.
But what impressed me the most about this training is the fact that participation and interaction was encouraged. The materials that were presented were relevant. The content was organized and easy to follow. And our facilitators, they were all knowledgeable on the topics that they presented. So all in all, what we can say is that this activity or this training was indeed a success.
I must say though, it was tough.
Considering the challenges of virtual learning, our facilitators again really excelled in keeping us engaged, even when boredom and fatigue was stepping in.
3 hours, 4 days a week. After work and whatever other responsibility is executed, it was not easy.
I must say, and reiterate again, I am very impressed with the training. I learned key concepts such as value chain development, business plan writing, effective time management, production planning. I've gained understanding of the importance of agriculture for how it helps me formalize and think even deeper into the projects that we are going into.
Today, I feel confident to call myself a farmer. We are now poised to be game changers to our nation's future. Food security, heavy meals are the areas in which we, our cooperative, can effect changes.
This training will improve our skills and knowledge for the project we are hoping to undertake and build confidence in our abilities based on the wealth of information we have received. Increase efficiency in processing, resulting in financial gain. Increase job satisfaction and morale among our members. Increase innovation in strategy for production and the creation of new products.
We are all confident that our capabilities, and we will one day look at where we all began. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Shad Noel and Alana George. We'll now hear from Sean Ruffin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the FAO, JIDC, and everyone participating, including the instructors. And I was on a journey where I had come to the place where I've realized that for my goals to come true in agriculture, I would need training. And this agro training therefore came in the perfect time. The course has helped me to be more professionally organized. I've learned that my ideas I had in my head wasn't just real, but hearing the instructors share their knowledge brought home the reality that I really can make my dreams and visions a testimony to my life. The course itself was very informative and well planned. I look forward to more trainings and opportunities that the GIDC and everyone not only has to offer. I thank the organizers and GIDC, the FAO, for the opportunity to further my personal and professional life. Thank you once again.
Thanks very much, Sean Ruffin. We'll now hear from Kyle Sylvester.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Peter David, GIDC representatives, agricultural officers, and my fellow Diamond Estates participants. Before I start my reflection, I would just like to state a comment which was given by the Minister of Agriculture. Agriculture should be taken as a business, and for too long we have seen it differently. There are three words I would like to describe this entire training, which it was informative, it was very interactive, and it was also enlightening. I was mostly impressed with various topics, example, budgeting and record keeping, where my facilitators were able to show how these simple topics can be important to a simple farmer like me. Many of my facilitators were able to show that you do not need 20 acres of land to be able to carry out record keeping or budgeting, or how these factors goes hand in hand or coincides with each other. This program afforded me the opportunity to learn things that I did not know before, such as food and safety handling. We were given the opportunity to apply the knowledge which was given to our daily lives at our farms. Finally, I also believe the various skills and knowledge which was acquired through this training would help me to be a better person and also a better farmer in my endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Kyle Sylvester. We'll now hear from Sholanda Roberts, followed by Malone Charles.
Afternoon, everyone. The seed of me becoming a farmer was planted in me at a very young age. I remember waking up early in the morning to bring out my sheep before school. I remember squeezing limes so mommy could make lime juice to bottle and sell. I remember picking and shelling peas till my hands were black with its residue. I always loved the fact that I could go outside and pick a golden apple or grapefruit to eat whenever I liked it. I always loved nature and plants and food, good food. Fast forward to March 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. The need to sustainably feed my family was amplified. We used the opportunity to plant seeds, grow more of our own crops, and even share with the community. The urge and passion to see families sustain themselves through locally grown, healthy, organic foods grew more and more with me and a team of like-minded friends. On seeing the call for applications to the Ministry of Agriculture's pilot land bank project, we decided to apply. When we received the letter from Mr. Noel stating that we were pre-selected and had to attend this training, we were overjoyed. I attended on behalf of my team and was very impressed. It was a very thorough and diverse training. Some of the topics that stood out the most to me were effective record keeping. I learned the importance of seeing farming as a business and keeping accurate records. Also, how to prepare income statements and financial statements and file tax returns. I learned about the importance of budgeting and monitoring it to prevent unnecessary debt. Effectively managing time using SMART goals. Y'all know what SMART meant? Who can tell me what SMART means? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And also I learned about prioritizing tasks. We discussed risk, how to identify and manage risk, such as Predia larceny and pests and diseases. We were taught how to construct business plans and write grant proposals. These topics have stood out to me the most because I now feel armed and prepared to manage my business more efficiently and effectively. We must, however, add how thankful we are to God, firstly, for this opportunity, to the FAO, Ministry of Agriculture, GIDC, MNIB, and other sectors that were involved in the planning and implementation of this program. I pray for your continued success. Thanks to all the presenters who, through their experiences, have brought real examples and practice to us. To all the dear pre-selected land bank applicants, as Mr. Noel so fondly calls us, if or when we are successful in the pilot project, let us be the best examples for others to follow. Let us become a group of farmers that can set a great example for the ones coming after us. Remember, there is strength in numbers. And even if we are unsuccessful, we still have a wealth of information that we can take and put into practice in our daily lives to become the best farmers in whatever aspect we choose. According to one of our lecturers, agriculture is not just our backbone. I would say agriculture is life. Let's live it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ms. Roberts. We'll now hear from Malone Charles.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon.
What impressed me most about this training program was the competency of the facilitators. Some of them I knew, Mr. Lyndon Bob. I tried to sell him insurance one time, I don't know if you remember. It now comes to mind why he refused at the time. Because I didn't realize he's a mathematician. He could calculate the figures better than I do. I don't know if Mr. Rule Edwards is here. Mr. Edwards is not here. I want to especially say thanks to him because I knew him to always encourage him to take part in. I feel he had great potential, to represent the nation. Mr. Roderick St. Clair, well, Mr. St. Clair was most fun to me because he was my former teacher. And what struck me most and what I was impressed with, besides the competency of the facilitator, that was what I was most impressed about, the competency. They was highly qualified, maybe even overqualified. Mr. St. Clair used to always use a word, but before he started the class, he gave us an assignment to do before the class. And while reading the assignment, I recognized one word, mechanism. And it brought me right back to St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School, so I appreciate that. So I was impressed. That is what I was most impressed with. What I've learned, well, the pre-selected applicants who spoke before me, they said it in a nutshell. I mean, the importance of record keeping, budgeting, costing, and pricing, time management, production planning, market segment and segmentation, logistics, food and food safety and food security, value chain development. All these are very important, and I'm really happy to be part of that process. In fact, I'm fortified to be part of this process because this process, I am a young man coming from in the 70s, and I knew of a time when we used to ship out tons of mango. Tons of mangoes used to leave Grenada, tons of Belangen, and we had a collective effort, So I believe in collectivity. So that I'm hoping that we group together, because when you're together, divided we stand, united we stand, divided we fall. And you're bargaining for a stronger to lobby for grant proposal writing and to lobby to the government. And first of all, I noticed no one to thank the government, because this program was funded by the government. And we was get technical support by the FAO and implemented by the GIDC, so I don't want to leave them out. And I'm quite happy this month because I think, I am quite happy when I went to the bank. Right? And I will definitely this information, as one of the applicants say, have equipped me to become a better person, more knowledgeable, and I will apply the knowledge, because they rightfully said, it's not just having knowledge, but it's the application of the knowledge. What they're going to do with all the knowledge you learn. Mr. Charles, I want to thank you for time management. It's so important. One of the most things that strike me is making time to rest. Resting is very important. Without rest, you cannot survive. And to close, I would say this program come at the right time, given the World Food Day theme, which were better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. And I hoping that another thing that impressed me, most of the farmers, they want to do natural farming, and that's what I want to do. And I find it's ironic and baffling that what do we eat? Where does it come from? It doesn't drop from the sky. Why is it so hard to be funded? Everything we eat come from the land, whether it's poultry, whether it's fish come from the sea, whether it's vegetables. Where did it come from? Where does it come from? So I'm wondering, I don't know if we have any banking representative here. I don't know why they wasn't invited. You know, you know, I can understand if something is risky, then you find a way to mitigate the risk, because we did risk management. If agriculture is a risky business, find a way to mitigate that risk. So I'm quite impressed. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody, and I'm really impressed with this program. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Malone Charles. We'll now hear from Hayden Young.
A pleasant good afternoon to everyone, the head table. Again, very much appreciative of this opportunity. I was not no big time farmer, but what gave me a wake up call is when COVID hit us and we have to plant. And because I grew up around farming, but I never really take it serious. I would go in the land, work with my uncles and so on. But when I see the reality that if we don't plant, we can't eat, I realized, boy, we got to take this thing serious. And sometimes we go about life, we eat from the land and we don't think, boy, people work hard to produce this. And I thank the government for this opportunity to train us. That was the best set of facilitators I ever met. I mean, the first day, Mr. Noel, I say, oh, wow, I wish this guy could take us through all the entire process. But then the second time, when the second facilitator came on stream, I was like, wow, I'm impressed. I said, better he take us to the end. and then the third, I'm like, wait, no. I find these guys, you did a very good research in finding those facilitators, because I think they make it a lot easier for me. I'm sure the others could say the same thing, because I learned a lot. I was very much engaged. I really wish we had more time. I wish probably later on we could have more training with the same facilitators, because I like them. I like them. I learn a lot. And I think this has done a lot for me. I even dream about this thing, you know, Mr. Noel. I dream about it. My wife knows about Mr. Noel very much. Every message I get, I say, Mr. Noel again. I say it's WhatsApp, it's email, it's so much information, Mr. Noel, Mr. Noel, Mr. Noel. And you know, I really appreciate it was very, very much organized, right? And I take a page from it, because I'm a pastor, new, installed this year. And yes, and I would borrow a lot from this, because sometimes we want to achieve things, we want to get somewhere, but the planning and the organizing, I think this is very much applauded, because I could take a lot from it. Even time management, planning, organizing, I could use that in church too. You know? Don't think it's just for the agriculture. I could use this thing to benefit us also. But so I really appreciate it. I thank you all very much for affording us the opportunity, and the support is there as we go along. We would always be embarking on you again. Thank you very much. Blessings.
Thanks very much, Mr. Young. And you all have the hard copies of all the presentations, all the PowerPoint presentations and all the other handouts. You also have the digital copies. And you also have the recordings. So you have the links. We sent you the links. Please download the recordings. So download them and have them saved on your computer or whatever external drive. So save the recordings, and you can always go back and review. All right? So we'll now hear from two more participants, Nicole Charles, and we'll hear from one of our extension officers who participated in the training, Miss Melissa Tyson. So let's first listen to Nicole Charles, and everyone knows Nicole Charles.
A pleasant evening to everyone. Please permit me to use the protocol already established at the head table, as to greet the head table, sorry. Good afternoon again. It's so nice to see people in real person. At first I felt very, very privileged to be the person who is representing our group, St. Mark's Women in Action, as one of the pre-selected groups for the pilot agricultural land project. I was wondering at first, why so much training for this thing? But now I can attest that each of the facilitators here were able to disseminate the information, I'm short, and articulate on the various topics, I mean, as though it was an inborn mastery. Your wealth of knowledge and expertise displayed, and the interweaving of those topics, I feel nothing short of just profound excellence. I'm sure that a lasting impression has been made on each and every one of us here. Mr. Bob, you have added one more mathematical formula to this old head, telling me that X is equal to F over P minus V. And I'm sure you know what it means. Break even. And now each and every one of us, armed with that knowledge that was imparted to us, and that enhanced education, I think that we are able to tackle those tasks ahead, tackle those obstacles ahead, those risks, as we were taught. I know that we will make good farmers, taking into account all that we would have learned, and hope to impart it not just to the lands or to the practice, but to our colleagues. As a younger person, I had diverted my attention to another profession. For some of you who knows, I'll keep it that way. I wouldn't go further. But I trust that each and every one of us here will be able to empower others, and our group it's one of our motive or motto, I should put it, is to empower some of our women folk who are from St. Mark, and we hope that with that knowledge and those technical skills that we would have learned, I hope that we could put it together and make ourselves modern farmers with modern technology and modern ways of thinking and working smart but not very, very hard. And I'm past a lot of years already, so I can't afford to work hard and hard again. So I wish to thank, most of all the organizers, each person, group, international organizations that would have made this training possible. And I hope that it would make a lasting impression on each and every one of us. Thank you again.
Thanks very much, Nicole Charles. I now invite Ms. Melissa Tyson, Extension Officer of the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, to share her experience with us. She was one of the participants as well. Ms. Tyson?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Well, I don't have anything more to add. Basically, everybody who spoke before me summed it up. I am one of the 2 officers who had attended the pilot Agricultural Land Bank Agri-business training program. I'm grateful to the Ministry of Agriculture in extending me this opportunity, since it had expanded my knowledge on the business aspect of agriculture and farming. So the training was 4 long weeks, as as everybody would have said. It was a very difficult period because you had to balance work. I guess most people went to work, then you have to catch this workshop Monday to Thursday, every day for that 4 weeks. Apart from the knowledge gained from the training, I had the opportunity to familiarize myself with some of the applicants from the program. Well, one of the participants who stood out a lot was Miss Charles. Well, Miss Charles was always, she's present. She always participate. If one person, that was Miss Charles. In all, there was the training was very interactive. The participants, we were all actively engaged, and there was hardly a boring moment. Learning was basically fun. We had some very lively presentations, discussions on the various disciplines in agribusiness, which have already been mentioned. Most days wasn't enough, because when the 3 hours passed, we still had a lot more to cover or discuss, but I think most, if not all, of the participants would have stayed up to the end. As an officer, I got to understand some of the issues faced by young farmers and new farmers, which would allow me to better assist them. And now that the training has completed, as a field officer, I think firstly the knowledge would be fully utilized for my personal life, since it's very applicable, most of the things we touch on. Also, to assist my fellow co-workers with the support of the Ministry of Agriculture. We already had discussion on a staff level as to how do we transfer some of the knowledge from the training. And also, what we said we'd do, from the staff level, we'd have tried to do the transfer of knowledge, then extend it so it could be transferred to the farmers. The beneficiaries that will be located at Grand Bacolet, one of the things that once the final list is completed, we would like a copy so that we could work closely with these people and provide them with extension services and support. So to conclude, I would like to thank Mr. Noel. Mr. Noel, a night I had to ask him if he doesn't sleep. I'd say, go and sleep, because Mr. Noel is messaging you all kind of hours in the morning. He's up. But he was very dedicated. He always called. He always remind you. He was always there. Also to the Ministry of Agriculture, the FAO, GIDC, the presenters, the facilitators, and the other participants. This was a very, very, very lovely experience, so thanks.
Thanks very much, Ms. Tyson, and thanks very much to all the other participants who spoke before you for sharing your experiences with us. So, the minister was sitting there listening attentively to all of you, the participants who shared your experiences. And now it's time for you to listen to the minister and what he has to say in response to some of the things that you've shared. So at this time, I now invite the Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, Honorable Peter David, to come forward to deliver the FITI address. Honorable Peter David.
Thank you, my dear brother Chair. Senator Roderick St. Clair, representative for the farmers and fishers in the Senate, my brother Elvis Moraine, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, my brother Trevor Thompson, Chief Agricultural Officer, Dr. Rolf Hackbart, Senior Policy Officer, Land Tenure Division, Food and Agriculture Organization, Ms. Keisha Mitchell, Senior Vice President, Business Development, GIDC, Shanika Gurley, also Business Development Assistant, GIDC, Mr. Daniel Lewis, my brother, former Chief Agricultural Officer, and now the FAO National Land Bank Consultant, under Solomon Kador, the Ministry, other officers from the Ministry of Agriculture, GIS, participants, training facilitators, and my brother Joseph Noel. Now I heard all you said about Mr. Noel, and you know, I used to feel bad when I call him into my office and harass him. But now I figure he harassed you, so I don't feel bad anymore. I used to call him in now and then put him down and say, what's happening? And I felt bad because he looked so quiet. I didn't realize he was a harasser too. So my brother, but you know, he's done an amazing job based on what you've all been saying. I was truly amazed. You know, my brother, you know, Marlon Charles, you know, gave a, but he sounded like a politician actually. But he did it very good. But all of you who spoke, really, you know, I was feeling as if I should have participated. Because the truth is what you said was that all of us need it. Not for simply becoming farmers, but life. And I think my dear brother, the newly installed pastor, he's going to use it in his church. We should actually charge him for the training. So, you know, I am absolutely amazed. And, you know, when you all, I saw the long list, I said to the PS, but this long list will take us all evening. And then, but it was very precise, very concise. And, you know, I want to thank the facilitators. Please extend to all of them. If they're here, I thank you. If you're not, please extend to them my deepest and profound gratitude for what they've done, because they've not only trained, but seem to have inspired the participants to do well. And you know, my brother Maureen, we whispered that this has to be an ongoing process, not only for the current participants, but for persons in all businesses, really. And GIDC, you should feel very proud, the FAO and the ministry and everybody here, my dear brother Noel, and all of you should be proud. It was exactly a month ago that I addressed you at the launch of this very important training program. Today, this closing ceremony represents the culmination and the successful implementation of this endeavor. It gives me great pleasure to address you and to celebrate that success. Friends, the completion of this agribusiness training program is another critical step forward in the journey toward the productive utilization of the pilot land bank sites and the participation of private landowners in the land bank initiative. I'm very excited that we are moving ever closer to the physical functioning of the land bank, and I am sure that the applicants are equally excited. I continue to exhort my dear brother Noel and the rest of the technical team at the ministry to keep up the momentum by continuing the acceleration of the activities that will bring about the full functioning of the land bank. Comrades, the journey that we began in July of 2017 appears to be closer to completion. I want to acknowledge all the officers and FAO consultants who have conducted an enormous amount of preparatory and technical work which has enabled us to get to this point. We can now say that we are one step closer to having boots on the ground, expanding agricultural production, and creating sustainable livelihoods. Friends, one of the objectives of the ministry for 2022 is expanding the acreage of lands under agricultural production. This is crucial because so much of our agricultural lands remain idle, as was shown in the 2012 census of agriculture. The land bank concept, and indeed this land bank project itself, is one of the tools that will be used to address this issue by bringing agricultural lands left idle and productive into practical and productive use. The ministry is already speaking with some private landowners to make substantial acreages available for agricultural production. It was Booker T. Washington, the American educator and author, who said, "No race can prosper until it learns there is as much dignity in tilling a field as in writing a poem." Let me say that in addition to dignity, there is wealth and prosperity to be derived in tilling the soil. By leaving so much land in an unproductive and idle state, we forego revenue generation, but more importantly, we deny so many of our people, especially our young people, an opportunity to pursue gainful enterprises and sustainable livelihood. Those idle lands need enthusiastic and energetic hands to make them productive. The Ministry of Agriculture and government by extension sees great value in the land bank initiative. That is why we are eager to have the lands which we have allocated at Grand Bacalet and Diamond under serious production. Friends, at the launch of this training program, I asked the participants to pay particular attention to the business in agribusiness. I made this request because I wanted to emphasize the point that agriculture is a business like any other, and that the rules and principles of business must be employed if success in agriculture is to be achieved. I truly hope that the participants heeded those words during their course of training. I want to reassure all participants that government will continue to support them when they put their plans into action, because their success is our success, is Grenada's success. The ministry will be there providing the additional technical and material support as you progress in the development of the lands at the pilot land bank sites. Comrades, in closing, let me once again implore the land bank applicants to stay the course and complete the development of their full business plans. This will be your guide when you begin your agribusiness enterprise. Finally, permit me to extend my profound appreciation to the management of the GIDC for partnering with us to design and develop this agribusiness training program. I was particularly listening to the point you made about not teaching entrepreneurship in schools. And I am happy that GIDC is filling that gap. But I would urge the Ministry of Education to take that on board and for you to partner with the Ministry of Education in ensuring that our young people learn business at an early age. I would urge you to do that. Secondly, I would urge you to partner with financial institutions, because I think one of the gaps, and I think it was pointed out by my brother Charles, that we need to get the financial institutions on board. Too many times they talk about agriculture being risky business. They talk about agriculture having the largest amount of non-performing loans. They have to solve that problem. As I say every time I speak on the issue, it cannot be easier to put a minibus on the road than to have an agricultural farm under production. And our financial institutions must do everything. It is their responsibility to work with us and with the farmers to ensure that financial mechanisms can be found. that will allow young farmers, especially the young farmers who are training here, who are getting the land here, they must be provided with the necessary infusion of capital to ensure that their businesses become productive. So I want to thank you. Sincerest thanks are also extended to the various facilitators who delivered lessons in the various aspects of business development in a very effective manner. I can't say more than you yourselves said about these facilitators. I felt as though these facilitators came from heaven in order to teach you guys. They didn't seem to be the kind of people that we know every day because of the way you spoke about them. So I want to, again, through all of you here, to extend deepest gratitude to the facilitators for making the lessons effective and certainly for inspiring you to become better farmers. And lastly, but by no means at least, I extend profound thanks to the leadership of the Food and Agricultural Organization for the immense support that it has provided to Grenada in the execution of this very important project. Comrades, the ministry has dubbed 2022 as the year of innovation and transformation. Let us begin this transformation with the successful implementation of this land bank project. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me this opportunity to wish you and all the other stakeholders in the agricultural sector a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention. May God bless you.
Thanks very much, Minister David, for such a passionate and thought-provoking speech. Let's give the minister another round of applause, please. At this time, we now move to the segment where we would present you, the participants, with your certificates. So, firstly, I invite the Honorable Peter David, Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, to come forward to present the first set of certificates. Okay. Okay. All right, so we begin with the certificates of completion. So I call on, okay, Akil Myers is Joanne Myers, so you'll collect on behalf of Akil Myers. Okay, so Joanne Myers is collecting on behalf of Akil Myers. Akeem Nelson. Akeem Nelson, are you here? He stepped out. Okay. Akiva Laguerre. She's absent. Alana George. Andre Maynard. Andy Dabo. Andy is absent. Okay. Burton Morris. Bevan Nelson. Shami Shares. Dominic Julian. Thanks very much, Mr. Minister, for presenting the first set of certificates. Thanks very much. Okay, and Minister has another engagement, so he cannot stay with us for the entire closing ceremony, so he has to leave now, so please excuse him. Okay. I now invite the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry to come forward to present the next set of certificates of completion. Okay, take care, Minister. Everest Albert. Gary Antoine. Okay, Gary's absent. Hayden Young. Jereen Charles. Joanne Fitzandrews Myers. So you're coming to collect yours now. Kanisha Alexander. Kyle Sylvester. Yeah, let's give him a round of applause. Laura McNeil Marisho. Mr. Marisho, are you here? Yes. So Mr. Marisho will collect on behalf of Mr. Laura McNeil Marisho. Marcia John. Oh, no. Thanks very much, Mr. P.S. Oh, she would like her daughter to take out a photo. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. Oh, but don't worry. We'll send you a photo. We'll send you. Oh, okay. She would like you to be in the photo. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 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 Thanks very much, PS. I now invite Ms. Keisha Mitchell, Senior Vice President, Business Development, GIDC, to present the next set of certificates of completion. Malone Charles. Melissa Tyson. Nicole Charles. Okay. Okay. Pauline Garway Collins, she's absent. Sabrina Thomas. Sean Ruffin. Shard Noel. Sholanda Roberts. Unison Joseph. Thanks very much, Ms. Mitchell, for presenting the final sets of certificates of completion. I now invite our Chief Agricultural Officer, Acting Chief Agricultural Officer, Mr. Trevor Thompson, to present the certificates of participation. Erin Lewis. Okay, she's absent. Denny Charles. Gordon Joseph. Okay, Gordon is absent. Jacqueline Richard. Janelle McQueen. Rondell Forbes. Okay, Rondell is absent. Shaniqua Lewis. Okay, Shaniqua is absent. Zimbia James. Okay, so they're not here, so thanks very much, Mr. Thompson, for presenting the certificates of participation. Let's give all the participants a round of applause. Okay, so we're close to the end now. I now invite Ms. Shonika Gurley, Business Development Assistant, GIDC, to deliver the vote of thanks. And we're missing another key representative of GIDC with regards to the planning and coordination and implementation of this training. Apart from Ms. Keisha Mitchell and Ms. Shonika Gurley, another name that you should remember is Ms. Natalie Ruffin. Yes. And I've been, as Ms. Mitchell alluded to earlier, we've been in a lot of meetings, a lot of email exchanges over the past several months, yeah? So in planning for this agribusiness training program, and even during the weeks of implementation, the 4 weeks of implementation, and even within the last week, a lot of communication back and forth between the ministry and GIDC, ensuring that everything went well for you all throughout the 4 weeks of training, and to ensure that you have a wonderful closing of ceremony here this afternoon. So I now invite Ms. Shonika Gurley to deliver the vote of thanks. Ms. Gurley.
Honorable Peter David, Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Forestry. Permanent Secretary, Mr. Elvis Moraine in the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry. Acting Chief Agricultural Officer, Mr. Trevor Thompson. Senior Vice President of the GIDC, Ms. Kisha Mitchell. Senior Policy Officer, Land Tenure Division of the FAO, Dr. Rolf Hackbart, and other FAO representatives. National Consultant of the Land Bank Project, Mr. Daniel Lewis. Senator Roderick Sinclair. Facilitators, beneficiaries, the media, and other invited guests, a pleasant good afternoon to all. It is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks at today's closing ceremony of the Agri-business training program under the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project. On behalf of the Board of Directors, management, and staff of the GIDC, specifically the Business Development Center, I extend a very hearty thank you, firstly, to the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry for implementing the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project and for collaborating with the GIDC in successfully implementing the Agribusiness Training Program. To the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations for supporting the development of the agriculture sector through the provision of technical support for the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project. I say a special thank you to the facilitators of the training program, Mr. Lyndon Bob, can you please stand as I recognize you all? Mr. Andre Charles, Mr. Roderick Sinclair, Mr. Kenley Edwards, Mr. Ruel Edwards, Mr. Kenley Edwards is here? He probably left. Mr. Ruel Edwards, Mr. Mahindra Singh, Mr. Steve Maxime, and Mr. Shem Lindsay. I invite each and every one of us to give the facilitators a special round of applause. A heartfelt thank you is extended to Honorable Peter David, Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, for gracing us with his presence in spite of his busy schedule, for delivering an insightful feature address highlighting the importance of recognizing agriculture as a business, and for also assisting with the presentation of the certificates. A special thank you is extended to the speakers of today's event, P.S. Elvis Moraine, for delivering the opening remarks and assisting with the presentation of certificates, Ms. Kisha Mitchell, Senior Vice President, GIDC, for her remarks on behalf of the organization and also assisting with presenting the certificates, Dr. Rolf Hagbart, Senior Policy Officer, Land Tenure Division of FAO, for his remarks as well. I also wish to extend a very hearty thank you to Mr. Joseph Noel for his dedication and commitment in working along with the GIDC to plan and implement the Agribusiness Training Program, for the welcome remarks, and for also chairing this afternoon's ceremony. To Acting Chief Agricultural Officer, Mr. Trevor Thompson, thank you for also assisting in presenting certificates to the beneficiaries. I wish to also thank you, the participants of the Agribusiness Training Program, for remaining committed and dedicated over the course of the program. This is indicative of your passion for the respective businesses that you will be undertaking. To Mr. Bevan Nelson, we thank you for invocating God's presence here with us this afternoon. Also to the participants who would have shared their reflections on the training program, we thank you. We also thank the media for covering today's event, and to our other specially invited guests, Thank you for participating in today's celebration of achievement. On behalf of the GIDC, I wish everyone the best in their business endeavors and encourage you to take advantage of the technical support that we provide as you start and grow your business. Thank you all for making this training program and today's ceremony a success. Thank you.
And thanks very much to you, Ms. Gurley, for delivering the vote of thanks. Thanks again, Ms. Gurley. And with that, we have come to the end of the closing ceremony for the Pilot Agricultural Land Bank Project Agri-business Training Program. Thanks very much to each and every one of you for taking time off from your busy schedule, especially at this time of the year, with just a few days to go before Christmas Day, for making the sacrifice to be here so that we can celebrate the achievements together. So once again, thanks very much, and I wish you all the best for the holidays. Have a good weekend, have a wonderful Christmas, and I wish you great success for the year 2022. Thanks very much, everyone. We have nice stuff out there for you to enjoy, so enjoy it as much as you can, all right? Thanks very much.